And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Your pal Jeremy Dog Gamley with the High Noon Report. There's the noon whistle right there. All right, we're going to call somebody up. We're going to do a simulcast podcast experiment. This could go completely south on me. This might not work at all. I know nothing about technical stuff. I'm just a comedian. Let's see if this works. I'm going to call up Dave Johnson. He's doing his podcast. I'm going to do a simulcast. He wants to talk about a couple of things. I thought this might be a good little fun experiment. Wherever you're watching from, comment below where you're watching from. Let me know that everything sounds okay before I get too deep into this. And then half an hour worth of brilliance turns into a complete waste of time. Just comment below right now where you're watching from. And also, I'll let you know when the Dog Comedy Roadshow is coming to an area near you very soon. Otherwise, we got lots of show dates right here scrolling across the bottom this weekend. A lot of crazy shows happening. Pub and Grub Comedy Tour all over the country. Let's do this already. All right, let me call into Dave right now. And we'll see if we can make this work. Yes, got your number. All right, here we go. Right on cue. All right. Dave.
What do we call this show, and where's it at on Facebook? Because I'm on your page and I'm not seeing it.
You're not? Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's got to beam itself up to a satellite and then beam itself back down. That might take some time. It's on my Facebook page at Dog Live. It's on YouTube at Dog Live, and it's on I believe it's on my personal Facebook page as well.
That's what I'm on.
It's called the High Noon Report. I've already got 4 viewers, so I know that it's working.
All right, well, let me join you.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Okay, Ronald is here. Hey, Ron, what's up, buddy?
All right.
Ron, can you hear me? Let me know that everything is sounding okay. Let me know that my vocals are mixed properly.
Do our first simulcast with the mighty Dog on his High Noon podcast. Welcome to the program, Dog.
Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I thought this would be a good way to talk about your new show. Our show, I'd like to say, is kind of a spinoff of your 420 show.
Oh, really?
Well, I was a big fan of your 420 show.
Yes.
It was a really good show. It was interesting. You had interesting guests on. You know, it was probably an appropriate length of time. You know, it was something that I could kind of look forward to every day or catch it. And
yes, sir.
You know, you had some that was under 100 views and some that was over 3,000 views, and it was, but it was a pretty good show.
It was a lot of fun.
During the world-ending thing, whatever that was.
Yes.
Brown Guy and I decided to do a Facebook Live show like you did. We just did it at 10 in the morning on every Thursday, and we would just sit on a park bench in front of a store in Sigourney, and we just talked to guests on the phone, you know, comedians and authors and musicians and people of interest, you know, and it did pretty well. And then we started the podcast, Round Guy the podcast, about the end of August, and we, you know, utilized that stuff for when we did Good Morning Southeast Iowa.
Cool.
That content, it started out with that, and we've been doing it a long time. But tell our listeners about your high noon show.
That's the High Noon Report. I just get on here and flat my trap about whatever's on my mind. Sometimes it's brilliant, sometimes it's stupid. It's usually somewhere in between. And I also like to talk about all of the unknown yet highly talented nightclub entertainers that are out there. I mean, as you know as well as I do, that there are a lot of great comedians out there that just haven't had the mainstream national exposure. And there are comedians out there who have had that mainstream national exposure that aren't really that talented at all. They can maybe do about 10 minutes, and if you put them in front of any kind of real crowd that is actually paid ticket money that does not recognize their name, which is 99.99999% of all stand-up comedy everywhere, they can't get it done. But there are a lot of comics out there, a lot of nightclub performers of all types that just put in their time, they put in the work, they have polished routines, polished performances, they get it done week after week after week. They're seasoned professionals, but for whatever reason, they just aren't name recognized. And so, one of the things that I like to do in any way that I possibly can is bring recognition to people like that. And I would say you and Round Guy pretty much fall into that category as well.
Yeah, we're perfect examples. Anyway, we're talking to the mighty Jeremy Danley, a road comedian, the pride of Colfax, Iowa. Anyway, I wanted to tell you one of the what all around guy and I do is we just try to present life in Iowa in a positive way and the things that are that do. We cover high school sports, and we don't cover Colfax Mingo, but we do cover the district that they or the conference that they play in, and sometimes we talk about the team. And but we want to shine a light on Colfax Mingo. We want to shine a light on Brighton, Iowa. We want to shine a light on Wapello, Iowa. You know,
Yeah.
just those little towns. We do segments about that. So that's been the I guess, and that's another way that you kind of inspire. You inspired me to get into comedy just because you're the first rural person that I ever saw did that and made me think, wow, it's possible for a farm kid to do it because I'd never seen it really done.
Oh, absolutely, it's possible. I think it's actually the best comedy. It's not the most prestigious, but it's the best, in my opinion. And I'm different than a lot of comedians that are out there that are looking for more of the prestigious venues like the improvs and the funny bones and corporate gigs and college gigs. But what I think is the best comedy is the stuff that's real, raw, and relatable. And I feel like when you go into small town America, the nooks and crannies located all across the country, you find these diamond in the rough establishments where people will show up. They are really wanting to be entertained and they're not jaded like you find in a lot of performance venues where you kind of get people in there with their arms crossed, like, all right, make me laugh, fucker. And if you go into some of these small towns, they can be a little bit rowdy. I mean, some of these, I'm not going to lie, they can be absolute hell gigs. But for me, that's a more fun experience in a lot of ways because it might be difficult while you're on stage performing for a rowdy audience, but afterwards there's always a story. Those are the most memorable. And that's what I like about doing. I like to create memories. I like to create experiences. I was talking to my son the other night and he said, the thing that's weird about you, Dad, is you're very structured and orderly and disciplined and organized in your life, but you like to create chaos as an entertainment experience. And he hit the nail on the head with that observation.
So let me ask you about your show. Give me some of the guests that you really, was really happy to get on your show. Thought gave you some good conversation and help make it a more interesting thing to view.
Well, I just started the High Noon Report a couple of weeks ago. Get back into the swing of things. I didn't know. I never know how any of this is going to work, but I had a few people that have reached out to me. Some of them are commenting and watching the video right now. And Budman, shout out to Budman, Kirsty and Skylar and Ron Fishman, like a lot of they've been following me for a very long time, and they're like, when are you going to come back? When are you going to do your thing again where we live? And I'm like, I got to get this thing started up again. So instead of the 420 report, we call it the high noon report. It can be about anything. And so far, I haven't had. You're probably one of the best guests. Well, you're like the only guest that I've had on so far. I had. Oh no, I'm sorry. I had Tim Pogorelski, who's the owner of Boxcars Pub and Grub in Clinton, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm not number one. Tim was a great guest.
You're number two. Dave. I've been on the record for many times saying that Dave Johnson makes a great number two.
Yes, that's what I do best. I'm even number two on my own podcast.
That's right. So when I was doing the 420 report and other video blogs back in the day, I had a lot of really fun comedians on. That people probably have heard of. No one, like no big superstars or anything like that, but we had hey, what's going on? Hey, Ron, what's going on?
That's cool.
Hey,
Hey,
what's going on?
Man, it's kind of trippy. Well,
I know.
Can I tell you a little bit about our podcast?
I took some LSD earlier. Now I'm all fucked up.
it always it's difficult for me to do the interview sometimes because I have a tendency. I just want to come on here and screw around, and then I'm going to interrupt the conversation to do private jokes with some of the people that are commenting on the thing. Billy Ray Bauer. Boxcars rocks, he says. Boxcars Pub and Grub, Clinton, Wisconsin. I'm going to go on the record. I'm going to die on the hill that it is probably the best midweek one-nighter in the entire country. So there you have it. All right, Dave, back to you. What's up?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me tell you a little bit about our podcast. I believe this is episode 224.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're working hard. So right now, once a week, Round Guy, he has a series that's going that he focuses on events in Iowa, museums in Iowa, people from Iowa. So he's been talking to the John Wayne Museum, and he's talked to the Johnny Carson Birthplace Museum, and he's talked to the Gothic House. And he talked to Willie Farrell about Rocky Marciano's plane crash, and Willie's brother was on the plane, so it was really riveting interviews. He just talked to Billy McGinnis, who's a Buddy Holly Beatles tribute artist that was a good friend, and so we talked a little bit about the day the music died. And
that's cool.
I talked to a Canadian trucker and an Iowa trucker just yesterday, just to hear things from the horse's mouth. We did the only documentary ever on the Negro Leagues in Iowa. We called the Negro Leagues Museum. They sent us an expert who really told the story about how important Iowa was to the Negro Leagues, and all the great baseball action was there. That was a 3-part series. We worked with the Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and we produced an episode for Iowa's greatest guitar player, Tommy Bolin, who died in 1976 at age 25, but he had played with Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck, and he replaced Joe Walsh in the James Gang, and he played in Deep Purple and had a couple albums out. And I mean, he played with John Lee Hooker and B.B. King and Howlin' Wolf. And I mean, by the time he was 16, he was a backup band for all those acts like that. So
cool.
That was a really great episode. And we cover high school basketball, high school football in Southeast Iowa, and we work on a thing called recruitable players. So we make a list of players and we try to send that to to college coaches, you know, in the area, or Round Guy knows a lot of them around the nation, you know. That way they could just listen to our podcast and know, hey, maybe I should check out this player or this player, you know.
Sure.
Southeast Iowa has a lot of they have 2 number 1 ranked teams in 3A and 1A, and then they have 8 teams in the top 20 probably in A. So there's a lot of really great action around here. They have the number 1 and number 2 team in 3A. So that's been exciting, and you know, got good community spirit. Plus, we pick out a town,
Yes.
and we'll just do it. You know, Fairfield, we'll do Mount Pleasant, we'll do Wapello, Iowa, we'll do Wellman, we'll do Kelowna. That was another great episode. So it's been a great way. We talk to authors, you know, or people that are doing things, and it's been a great experience bringing that kind of Iowa angle to you know, everything that we look at.
Nice. So is your podcast mostly focused around sports then, or is it all things small town Iowa?
Well, okay, so here's what we looked at it when we started this thing. You know, Round Guy, you know, you probably remember him from KGGO, Lou Heather and the Round Guy, or when he was the host of the Funny Bone in Des Moines for like 11 years, or when he was at Morning Guy KBOE in Oskaloosa. Well, he's retired now, but we wanted to bring that old 1970s radio floor mat back. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That didn't have an agenda, that didn't have an angle, that just, you know, I mean, I've already interviewed like 12 different coaches, you know, in Southeast Iowa, you know, just to hear it straight from them. That's why I interviewed that truck driver from Canada, so I could hear it straight from them instead of, you know, what's, you know, something else.
Right. Instead of getting the information straight from national mainstream media, you can have a platform or a channel or whatever you want to call all this, or you can produce your own media, your own shows, have your own conversations that put out your thing into the world. And if it reaches just a small amount of people, at least it reached them. They wouldn't have been reached at all. And I like your concept of hearing it straight from the horse's mouth instead of these filtered enterprises where somebody else has already produced the show. They've already decided what can and cannot be said. This can all be uncensored and unfiltered, which is exactly the way I like to do comedy, the way I like to promote comedy, just keep it uncensored, unfiltered. But as long as it's entertaining and interesting, I think that's really the only rule. It's got to be interesting. And small town Iowa, small town Americana, I think is actually a lot of times more interesting than big city. I've lived in both. I've lived in small towns. I've lived in big cities. And I have some of the best, most interesting interactions and experiences when I am in small towns because I don't know. They just have like these little unique appeal that you would not see anywhere else. You know, it's like what you're talking about, like the small museums and stuff. You know, you can find those little tiny weird tourist trap type things in small towns. They all have like their legend that only if you're from the area you really know about. I think that stuff is cool.
Oh yeah, there's some great ones. But that's what I always liked about your humor. Even when you were living in Chicago, your humor came from a small town, Midwestern farming agricultural perspective. You know what I mean? You was making jokes about tractors, and that was I said, this guy's making jokes about tractors. I think I love this guy.
Yeah, I think I still remember, and again, talking about memorable experiences. I remember that night when you were at, I think, somewhere down Sigourney, maybe. It was somewhere right outside of Fairfield, Iowa, home of the Maharishis. Yeah. And do you remember there was the former owner of the bar, and she was a real old senior citizen, old lady drunk, and she came right up on stage and we started going back and forth. And again, that's not something you would ever see happen at like A-list comedy club that would not allow any of that. And they shouldn't probably, but when you go to those small town bars and it's no holds barred, you get fun interactions like that I actually recorded and put up on YouTube. Maybe I can find that.
It was a big hit too.
Yes.
See, let me give you 2 quick examples. That being one that would throw a different comic than you. Or I remember we did a show in Hedrick, and
Yes.
you know, they didn't have much of a stage, you know, where one comic would look at that and say, that ain't very good stage, you know. And you made a joke about, hey, he says, wow, he says, you guys just used the back porch of off of the trailer and put it in here. You know?
Yeah. Oh, here it is.
was a huge laugh, you know what I mean? It was just you were able to deal with these situations and create humor out of them.
Yes.
That other comics would get ate up over, I think.
Dave, I've got the video right here. Actually, from this is at that show where I think was the very first time we met, and you talked to me afterwards. I'm gonna play it right now. Can I play it?
Go ahead.
All right, hang on. I gotta do a double screen action here, and let me see if I can make this work. It'll just take you keep talking for a little while to fill in the gaps while I try to make this work. Hang tight, everybody.
All right. So yeah, well, if we're in the process of doing some nominating for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They are looking for some people from Southeast Iowa. They feel like Southeast Iowa was a little underrepresented. We've come up with Adam Steck, who is a big booking agent out in Las Vegas. He runs Spy Entertainment right now. He's from Fairfield, Iowa. He got his start. The singer from Mr. Mister was born in Keokuk, Iowa. So we've got him. We found out that Elvis's pilot was from Iowa. So there's a lot of Iowa connections like this.
Okay, here we go. I got it, Dave. It's ready. It's all queued up. This is elderly drunk woman lectures comedian during show. Comedian being myself, Jeremy Jaredog Danley. Here we go. Here's what happened.
I like coming back to Iowa though because I can do material here that I can't do, that I don't hear anywhere else in the country. Like if you drive past a farm in Iowa, you can smell the manure in the air. There's always someone that'll go, oh yeah, smell that money. That's how we refer to shit in Iowa, as money. My dad would say that to me when I was a kid. Smell that money, boy. I'm like, if that's money I'm smelling, why don't you hop over that fence, scoop some up, and maybe that goddamn Nintendo I've been like. If that's money.
That's so hard to watch yourself do material, especially from like 15 years ago. You know what I mean?
An example of ag-related comedy.
Yeah, exactly. Right there. Here we go. Here, the drunk elderly heckler is about to take the stage.
I'm smelling why we always broke. Just get a cow and feed it chili.
The sad thing is I'm still doing these jokes.
Hey, you couldn't spell money. It's right there. Well, put your shoes back on then, Carl, and sit down. Oh my God, looks like someone threw Mama from the train. What the hell?
Here we go.
How about that? The oldest person in here. And the drunkest person in here as well. Thanks for coming up. Thank you for coming up and introducing yourself. No. That's my show. Sit down already. You had 18 years to do a comedy show. You blew that. Now sit your ass down and go have another drink.
Never give the person that comes on stage the microphone.
Yeah, I learned that. You didn't give the microphone away.
Never do that. You'll never get it back.
So I learned a lot about comedy. Then you had me open up. I tried to chicken out, but you and Harpo pushed me on the stage and started me on a path that wound up me opening in Las Vegas a few times.
That's right. And the world of comedy has thanked me ever since.
Yeah. I went down that road, you know. I don't know. I haven't done it in a couple of years, but I did enjoy doing it. And we did a lot of shows together. We burned through Southeast Iowa on many occasions and brought a lot of laughs. And we've got a lot of friends around here that probably remember you.
Oh, but, yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask you a little something kind of
hang on. That's right, went a little too far.
my God. People ask me, Jared Dog, why would you go to somewhere like Libertyville, Iowa to do comedy? Well, I'll tell you, people, chances are I'm leaving with half-hour material. This is an investment.
There you have it.
A little bit of gold. Hey, I got something on my mind that I want to ask you. Listen, I got something a little bit on my mind I got to ask you.
Yes.
You know, about what's going on with Joe Rogan. You know, I know 48% of my listeners listen on Spotify. It's been a pretty good platform right now. You know, I don't really tackle those hard-hitting kind of areas.
Yeah.
That would, but what, or you know, but how do you think it's going to affect people like me that are podcasting downstream on all this?
You know, it's hard to say. I don't really know. I think you'll be all right. I really do.
Yeah, I just hope they'll find the podcast one way or the other. You know, it's sure. I feel like he's sure being bullied by and I hope his podcast stays successful because he's really leading the way for people like me doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think Joe will be just fine. You know, even if you walk away from it all tomorrow, he's still got $100 million in the bank.
Well, I saw they got $100 million offer to move his content to Rumble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and who knows if that's even a good deal or not. Let's say his deal with Spotify is that he's got stock options. It might be better to stay with Spotify. I don't know. You don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. If anything that I have to say right now, I'm just be talking out of my ass. Yeah, because I don't know what goes on behind the scenes and when they're making decisions like that.
Welcome to the High Noon Report.
Welcome to the High Noon Report, everybody.
Circus, Afro circus, Afro circus, Afro polka dot, Afro.
All right, Dave. What else? What else is on your mind?
That was it. I already covered everything.
All right, man. Well, it was good talking to you guys. If you're heading out this weekend, you want something fun to do pre-Valentine's Day, hit up one of these shows. They're scrolling across the bottom. If you're any of these areas, Creston, Iowa, that's where I'm going to be this Saturday night, February 12th at the Eagles Club. Tickets are available now at barcomichtix.com. Also head on over to jaredoglive.com or follow me on any of the social media at jaredoglive, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and listen for me on Wake and Bake with Double T every Thursday morning. I recorded the episode today. It's going to be all about Valentine's Day. That's on Rockford Radio, the Eagle 96.7 FM. What else we got? We've got the Pub and Grub Comedy Tour is going to be heading to Bowman, North Dakota this Saturday night, February 12th at Wendy's Bar. That's going to star Skylar Bulks and Luke Johnson. Saturday, February 12th, Lake Park, Iowa at Gunderston's with Dan Bublitz and Joe Christensen. Bad Axe, Michigan at the Pit with the Mutant Queen of Comedy, Katrina Brown. Manson, Iowa this Saturday at Shoreside Pub and Grub with Dan Brennan, Shane Scherer, and Don Seeger. Coleridge, Nebraska, the Rodeo Bar and Grill this Saturday, February 12th with Dan Brown, and Altus, Oklahoma at the Halftime Sports Bar with Steve Peters and Levi Mabe. Get your tickets now, barcomichtix.com. I'll be back for more High Noon Report action tomorrow at high noon or as close as possible. Dave, thanks a lot, man.
Round Guy, the podcast.
Round Guy, the podcast, the High Noon Report, Dave Johnson. And if you ever have Round Guy on when we're going to do a simulcast, I've got a funny story about with the Round Guy, and I can share together with you. So, but I want him to join in on that.
All right.
Okay, man.
Right.
Thanks for watching. We're out of here. Dog bless America, everybody. Thank you. Goodbye.